everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Marie and currently I am re-examining some of my old content. I have been on social media for over a decade. My YouTube channel is officially more than 11 years old, and as such I have posted a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about some of my worst pieces of advice today. So I'm filming another video where I compare my previous 9 years ago zero waste lifestyle to the zero waste lifestyle that I live today. And it's an interesting ride. That video is already up, so if you're interested, you can go and find that in the description down below. But I want to highlight some of the pieces of advice that I have given in the very early stages of my zero waste lifestyle that unfortunately a lot of people have seen. So I think it's important that we reassess some of these things. I would like to preface this video by saying that I still strive to be as low waste, as low impact as possible, but sustainability is not an aesthetic, it's a method. And really the responsibility to act sustainably shouldn't rest entirely on consumers. Consumers have a part of the responsibility and there's a lot of stuff that we can do to be better. However, there is a massive political and industry related responsibility as well. There's a massive responsibility on the people that create the framework, which is society that we live within, which means that consumers can often really be as sustainable as the system they live within would allow them to. And one of the major faults of the communication strategies of the early zero waste community was that we put a lot of pressure on consumers to be annoyingly, inconveniently different, to the point where we constantly communicated a level of perfectionism that no one was able to achieve. And unfortunately, that is a massive disservice to the sustainability movements and communities, to the overall agenda of staying within our planetary resources and boundaries, to creating a world where we're not only sustaining or upholding the levels of power as well as consumption that we see now, but also in the service of going beyond that and regenerating some of those resources. That is a lot, I'm so sorry. The rest of this video is going to be hilarious though. One of the first things that I have to highlight, and I know I've talked about this before, and it's when I recommended people to make their own toothpaste. There are several good options when it comes to more so low impact or more sustainable toothpaste, but overall this is a really small consumer product and there are so many other ways where I wish we would spend our resources and our energy. This is a small product and overall what kind of toothpaste you make is not going to make or break your impact. It's not that definitive.
Of course, I made my own toothpaste. I have it right here. Mine's a bit fluid today. But yes, and I have been using this a ton because it's zero waste. It's what I like to do. However, I am not too crazy about it. And I am sure that I'm not the only one who thinks it's super disgusting.
But when we want to be as conscious and as low impact as we possibly can, also means that we re-examine every tiny, small little aspect of our lives. And toothpaste was one of the things that ended up taking up so much space for me because I made a gross ass zero waste toothpaste like every other basic influencer in this community, based on coconut oil and baking powder and a little bit of essential oil with mint in it. This was the worst thing ever. I was also into oil pulling, which is when you use oil to cleanse your mouth, and it's also gross as fuck. I'm sorry if that's your jam. My personal experience of life is that it was disgusting. Okay. I remember specifically at one family gathering where I talked about my zero waste lifestyle, someone asked me about it, and I mentioned the toothpaste. My grandfather was like, oh yeah, we did that as well. And the majority of people in my class got new teeth for their 15th birthday. It might very well work for some people, you do you boo and all that. However, I think there is a point to be made that some products are better when created by experts and professionals that actually know something about dental hygiene and maintenance. And I often talked about this kind of toothpaste. This was also before tooth taps was widely available, so that was something you had to order online from the UK. I also did that, so let's not dwell too much on the impact of that kind of toothpaste when you had to order it from overseas. But making your own toothpaste was truly one of my worst pieces of advice. Another thing that I both said as well as showed all the time was how I brought all kinds of reusables with me everywhere. That is inconvenient, not in the, oh, I don't really kind of like that kind of way, but I guess it makes sense. My bag was so heavy because I had to carry a water bottle, that's pretty reasonable, a lunchbox, that's pretty reasonable, cutlery, a mason jar, the lid for the mason jar, a reusable straw, reusable napkin, everything. And like, these things are great. If you have these things, use them. If you can avoid disposables, that's also great. But I think why I think this piece of advice is misplaced today is because you cannot promote a lifestyle, or I don't want to at this point. I think I should say, I don't want to today promote a lifestyle that is so product focused, that is so focused on the products that you use to achieve it. Because sustainability, aha, it's not a product, it's a method of consumption, yeehaw. And sometimes reusable products can be really nifty, they can help bring down the use of disposables. All of this is really great, but dragging them everywhere you go just in case you run into a problem or a scenario where there would be disposables involved just added, for me personally, is what I figured, which is why I stopped doing this. It added an extra layer of anxiety to every situation that I was in, because I had to think ahead all the time whether or not I would be in a situation where I would have to go grocery shopping, because then I would need to bring this kind of jar if they had a deli section and I needed to get something from there, because then I could get it without plastic and I didn't want to get the plastic. I would have to be okay with them putting the sticker on my lunchbox, but that would be kind of okay. But I need to bring the jar, the lunchbox, the cutlery, just in case we end up in that kind of situation. Exhausting. Sometimes I bring my reusables and other times I just get something with as little packaging as possible. I think I am prepping a lot less now. Today I also don't really care about the perfectionism of it all. So if I end up in one situation in a year with a disposable product, but that's not usually how I go about my day, I'm also just gonna think that it's fine. Bring the reusables that make sense in the scenarios and situations that you're in, but don't drag all your belongings around with you all the time. That is absolutely exhausting. I don't know if this is a little bit of a hot take. I know this is something that I have said in several morning routine get ready with me videos where I talk about the different kinds of sustainable products that I use, and I specifically talk about soaps. I've talked about soaps quite a lot, both because I've made my own Franken soap quite a few times with soap scraps. I still use shampoo bars, I still use conditioner bars, and soap bars overall for my body as well. I have a few different soaps, which is what I wanted to get at here. Because one of the things that I said in an early zero waste video was soap is just soap. So every kind of brand or product or platform that encourage you to buy multiple different soaps are lying to you, are ultimately just after your money, has just created these artificial categories of different soaps all to get you to consume something. Now, is there a gram of truth in that? Yes, in certain scenarios there are product ranges which are so vastly specific that I don't really think that it's necessary. But saying that soap is just soap is also factually incorrect. The soap that you use for intimate areas really shouldn't be the same soap as you use on your face, because those two areas require different kind of maintenance. Then there is a specific type of this kind of problem soap and then another type of problem soap. Like, okay, it can also get out of hand, but I think it's worth acknowledging that different products also are designed for different parts of the body, and your skin and your hair is not the same. The skin on your face and the skin on your body is also not the same. And the ingredients beneficial to your intimate areas, not the same as on your face. So saying soap is just soap and that you can use the same Lush shampoo bar everywhere in your body, oh, please don't do it. Please don't. Another DIY that I showed, luckily also really quickly realized wasn't great. And then I made an alternative version that also wasn't great, but I tried to make my own mascara twice. The first mascara that I made by charring almonds and mixing it with Vaseline. Vaseline, if you're not aware, is a petrochemical product. It is petroleum jelly, a byproduct of fossil fuel products. You really shouldn't put that in your eyes. And also I think there's something a little bit ironic about wanting to phase out the plastic my mascara comes in and then opting for using petroleum jelly. I think we're even here. You're using the same amount of fossil fuel byproduct. it doesn't matter. I would really advise people to be a lot more cautious with what they put on their skin and what they put near their eyeballs. Charring almonds and mixing it with Vaseline, or mixing it with aloe vera, which was my alternative solution. In a non-sterile environment, I made it at home. Really, everything shouldn't be homemade. There are better and more sustainable and plastic-free, low packaging options when it comes to mascara. Unfortunately, a lot of the more old school zero waste kind of ones do contain beeswax, and because I'm vegan, I wouldn't go for those. But if I have to be completely honest, I am showing my white flag here. I completely surrendered and bought a regular conventional mascara. It's not tested on animals, it has a great formula, I looked up the ingredients, it's not filled with a lot of bullshit. So that's something. I would advise you to do that. I wouldn't advise you to make your own mascara or put anything near your eyeballs that is charcoal and Vaseline. Now this might be a controversial one. Not even today, because I feel like my platform has evolved so much at this point. The kind of thing we talked about 8 years ago and the things we talk about now, vastly different. Probably also different audience. If you aren't just so getting tuned in on my channel, this is a ride for you. I'm so sorry. When you have an increased focus on products in your lifestyle and in your community, your movement, like the zero waste lifestyle, which is problematic in many ways because it takes away a lot of the really important points from underconsumption, from just using less, using what you already have. A lot of the advice was tied up to buying things that are more aesthetically pleasing because they are without plastic, which is why I think one of the worst pieces of advice, or one of the worst statements that's been on this channel in the past, has been the belief that a reusable, plastic-free, sustainable product is always more sustainable than a disposable product. That is just not the case. It is so much more complex. It is not black and white. I think in many ways the zero waste lifestyle has been really helpful for me in terms of being a stepping stone into learning more about the way that supply chains function, the way that impact works, the way that we as a society have an impact on, and in the various different sectors we have impact. I think in many ways it's a great stepping stone. It's a great first step to start looking at what you consume and what kind of waste you generate. But we have to go beyond that because the majority of our impact today is invisible. The majority of our impact can be boiled down into the cars we drive, the food on our plate, and the homes that we live in. And then we have a massive passive impact in what kind of banks and pension funds that we use. The vast majority of emissions are derived from the fossil fuel industry, including all of their byproducts. But it's so much more complex than just saying reusable products are always more sustainable than disposable products. I can name many examples of the contrary being true. If we look at the emissions from a disposable paper napkin, just like one you blow your nose in, that is significantly less than buying cotton napkins. Producing cotton has a massive impact on the planet. And sometimes when brands are promoting reusables and the more sustainable lifestyle, they will sell you new cotton napkins in a small cute little container that you can always bring in your bag. The impact of the container, the impact of the napkin by many lengths surpasses the impact of a disposable napkin. And that is just one example. I think it goes to show that we can't hyper focus on these tiny small things. Obviously there are also complexities here. If you have vintage cotton napkins, obviously amazing. How many times you use your napkins, how many disposable napkins it replaces also plays a factor here. But this simplification of what is sustainable and what isn't sustainable was and still is being hijacked by people with monetary investments that commercially benefit from selling you the solution. But buying into the idea that a reusable product is always more sustainable really depends on a lot of different factors, including how much you use it or where you get the reusable product from and how that material is sourced. I'm very happy with the place that we have ended up collectively, both within the zero waste movement as well as on this channel. Never gonna fucking tell you guys to make your own makeup again, that's for sure. This platform and the content that I have posted have in many ways been a witness to the learning curve, to the development of my understanding of the world. And I didn't have all the answers back then, and I don't have all the answers now, but when it comes to how you position yourself as an individual in the world, how you seek to do the best that you can do, both to limit your impact as well as to thrive and be a happy human being, it will always evolve and change form. What is the most important thing that we as consumers are able to do is that we do not place different actions or products on pedestals and tune out all the nuance and complexity that inherently comes with trying to be more sustainable. That also means that we will often have to readjust our habits and our actions to fit the new information that we're being told. So here's to just trying your best and to evolving in this lifestyle. Leave your best story or development or realization in the comments down below and let's share with the group. Thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then.